Warning, this show contains adult content, so viewer and listener discretion is advised. Welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff, and if you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show is about, it's entirely dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life raw. Today is Friday, and this is ckisism, I guess I'm going to call it. First off, it's just a philosophy that I have. There's fuck yourself, and then there's unfuck yourself. And I wanted to just talk a little bit today on how to unfuck ourselves. These shows, so this Friday here is towards the end of the month here of January of 2021, and I have to pay to do these shows, right? I have like a little bank account, and Libsyn is where I post all my stuff. So they only allot me a certain amount of minutes. It looks like I have about an hour, and this would be the last show of the month, so I'm going to try to eat that up. Next here is that these shows take a lot of work to do, a lot of notes, if they're going to be anywhere kind of intriguing, I would say. It's very rarely that I do a show like today where I don't really have any notes at all. I just kind of wanted to rant. So let's see how that goes. I don't really have the time, but I wanted to throw one in here for you guys and see what you guys think. Comment below. It's upandinitshow@gmail.com. Let me know how I'm doing for you guys. But let's get into some subject matters here of how to unfuck ourselves. I look at this time, there's a lot of talk of recession and a great reset, all kinds. I mean, there's crazy shit out there. There's people coming up with stuff that's horrific, you know. Are they conspiracy theories? I don't know. But in the way I see it is that we're fucking ourselves by getting into all this stuff and worrying about things that we don't even know if they're actually going to happen. There's a lot of things pointing to things such as a great reset where they want to get rid of money and things like that. There is, it appears, a great reset, but I don't think that we all understand exactly what it is, and I don't think we're meant to understand that. So why would we dwell on these things and then we're already stressed out and everything. So we start listening to these things that are possible conspiracy theories, you know, that the virus was man-made, it's made to thin out the herd. And the scary part is a lot of these things just make too much sense. You know, these conspiracy theories or theories in general. So in order to unfuck yourself, I look at to control the things that you do have control over. It's my examination of life is that we're all fooled that we have control. We actually literally have control of nothing, you know. There's a really good amount of things that we can do, such as health, you know. You guys have probably all seen it where somebody was a health fanatic, exercising and everything, and I think that was one of the first ones on the Joe Rogan podcast, which I like listening to, and it was one of his friends who was an elite athlete, I guess, and he almost died from the COVID. Other people drinking and smoking, eating Twinkies, fucking peanut butter, chocolate ice cream all over their nipples and their face, you know, watching The Price is Right. And I lost my flavor for a couple of days and I had a little cough and then nothing. It's like these people are inhospitable to like the coronavirus and anything else. So when it comes down to it, I would say start what I'm doing anyways. We could talk about that. Right now, I'm at my Spin Farm site. This is where I grow a lot of my own food. It's also, I'm stacking functions as I like to share on the show. It's a whole business. So I'm preoccupied with these things. When I'm not running my construction business, making money, you see, I don't make a dime right now. I work my ass off here in this large 20 by 30 foot greenhouse. And then we've got other projects going on too on this land that I don't even own that, I Spin Farm. I give the people food and pay the water that I use. And they're giving me like an acre of land by a beautiful oak forest with a lake down at the bottom. It's a wonderful setting, especially for where I live. But what I'm doing is stacking things for the future. I'm giving a gift to my future self, as I like to share on this show. So I'm not making any money. I'm actually paying to do this. Just like this podcast, I pay to do this podcast, and I love doing this podcast. And I'm in hopes that both of these things may turn into some sort of residual income one of these days. Maybe people like listening to me blabber my fucking mouth off about a whole bunch of fucking everything. But yeah, stacking functions here with the garden. I get to eat my own food from here. I've got control of this, right? It's helping my health. I think that, yeah, we don't have control of cancers and the coronavirus and things like that, but what we do have control is having a sound body, a sound mind, and that comes from, to me, really, gardening could answer, as Jeff Lawton, the prince of permaculture, said, gardening could almost solve problems of the world. It teaches us a lot. But in what I'm doing, by getting exercise, by eating some of the healthiest food on the planet and the most tastiest food on the planet, I just have to spur off though. When you guys taste things, you think that you don't like them. It's because they're grown in monoculture in big giant crops. There's not a lot of nutrients being put to them, so of course they taste like nothing. And most of your food is picked green. It has to be gassed or ripened by the time it gets to you. But the day I'm telling you guys, you grow something from scratch and you eat it, a sun-heated tomato or a cucumber. I never thought I'd like turnips. My turnips here are sweeter than sweet. And yeah, I'm growing a bunch of turnips. I never knew I liked turnips. But anyways, yeah, I'm getting exercise. I'm getting a lot of spiritual mental health. There's coyotes I've seen running around in here. There's some hawks and some baby hawks that are being raised up in the trees over here. And I get these little birds that come and eat all the bugs off my plants. I'm gardening in symbiosis with nature. I have beaten everything. There's cabbage moths and rats and mice. I thought that I had them beat, but it appears that they're getting into my garden system. And this was day before yesterday. I found out that they were eating my green beans. They ate all of them. My sugar snap peas and my green beans. They ate all of them. Snow peas, I'm sorry, not green beans. Snow peas and sugar snap peas. I had seeds that were drying there, hanging from the vine. I was just getting ready to harvest when I came. All of them were gone. So that's the problem I have. And the solution to that, the only one I can come up with as of yet, is to make a little 5-gallon bucket trap with a roller on it and no water. I'm not drowning them. I'm capturing these mice and they fall to the bottom of the bucket. On my way home, about 4 miles from here, I just pour them onto outside in a field someplace, or I could take them to the houses, the city, the building and safety department, who likes to shut everything down. The department make you sad. Just throw them right in front of City Hall. But yeah, so it feels really good to have the freedom of time to invent things like this and to keep working. But yeah, I've eradicated, to finish up on that, harm to almost anything. Cockroaches, snails, slugs, ants, all of these ground little critters, they can't climb into my garden because when they go up to get into my garden, they reach a big giant slathering of axle grease and they will not cross that. You see, my whole entire garden is suspended. So it feels so good to give to nature, and basically block nature out and say, look, you can go eat everything all else, but you just can't eat this. But the birds are coming in there, getting back to the spirituality and the joy of it. Little birds get through the little nets that I have. They're about 1-inch holes in the net. And they come in there and go as they please. So do the bees to pollinate my flowers. And it's stacking. I'm improving quality of life for the planet by doing this. I really believe that my garden systems are going to change the world. It's going to be able to have people who think they don't have the time to be able to grow their own food. People don't think that they have the knowledge. You don't even have to think. You can show up once a week. But I imagine if everybody did this in their backyards and did small systems, they'd be producing healthy food for themselves like I am, getting some exercise, not much because there's not really much to do, getting the beauty and saving the environment around them. And that's ckisism. This garden too, as well, beyond all the things I just told you, how it makes me happy, it can go into where people want me to build these systems for them. This is what I'm hoping for, that this can go into an online business where I can teach people online through online courses how to grow their own food, how to set these systems up. And I can start an entire group of people locally where I'm at. Because you see, I've got this group idea. And I think this goes good for business, for wherever you're at in the world, I would say. What I've done is I've purchased soils on large scale, soil amendments and things like that, and I get a discounted price. I've got things down from 60% cheaper on one product, 50% cheaper on another, 10, 30, 20. It's all over the board. I'm basically saving a lot of money. Let's just look at it across the board. I haven't done the math yet, but I'm thinking if anybody wants to garden and do container gardening like I do, I'm pretty much going to save them about 50% but you need to pay me, say, a fee of $100 a month is the idea. And then you get all these discounts, which more than pay for the, say, like your $100 a month, or a year, I'm sorry, your annual pass, your annual membership, way more than pays for itself because of all the things that I can give you, as such as seedlings and seeds and knowledge and expertise and training. So you see how I'm stacking these functions. I'm unfucking myself. Right now, it may appear that I'm fucking myself. I have a show in the pipeline coming up where there's some people around me, not very many people I have in my life, but they're telling me that I'm overworked and that I'm, maybe basically not spending my time wisely. And the way I look at it is to unfuck yourself in this day and age, to have control of the things that you do have control over. You got to start working. And if you're in your midlife like me, in your mid-40s, and you haven't got, you didn't get savings and you didn't start to work to get a job that you like, you didn't position yourself where you can't be automated out in your business, or your business is not necessary, all your expertises are in those things, you haven't broadened your scope, then you're fucked. But you're not, because you need to work like I do, like a fucking dog. Find something that you like to do. Yes, I am tired, right? I look like shit. Someone told me on one of my TikTok videos, I look like death warmed over. Yeah, I got saddlebags in my fucking eyes. Sometimes I don't get enough rest, but I have the freedom in my life to nap I'm filming in my F350, my mobile studio. The reason why the quality of sound is so good is that we're not actually driving like I normally do, but in my mobile studio, my F350 diesel pickup truck, I've got a giant camper in the back, fully loaded. Anybody who follows me, it's got solar, it's got a refrigerator, I got lights, fans, internet, everything. But I've got a big giant bed, and sometimes I'm on my farm or I'm on my job. I'll go eat in my roofing construction job, the only thing that actually makes me money right now. I'll go drive to a park sometimes and sit in the back and take a 1 hour nap. Just because I got 6 hours, 5 hours of sleep the night before doesn't mean anything. And my day goes by and I have the freedom to do so. But getting back to it, we have to use every spare moment that we have, every free moment, to educate ourselves and to apply ourselves into systems thinking and ways that we can actually stay afloat. If this recession gets worse, if this pandemic gets worse, if the Great Reset comes in, we need to start figuring out stuff that's useful. And to me, what better way than doing that than it is to grow your own food? It's never going to go out of style. And you see what I'm doing by I'm actually going to do a video today on a local Friends of Facebook page. And what I'm going to ask people is that if they would like to join my club or join me as a group, there's no fee involved or anything. I'm hoping that people will see what I'm doing and say, man, I work my ass off. You barely do anything. Can you teach me or hire? I can pay you to make these products for me to do it's called biodegradable container gardening, by the way, if anybody's interested. Biodegradablecontainergardening.com, but I really don't have the website built yet. But what I'm looking for in this group is very powerful, and I think we should use this for business. This is like a philosophy, right? One of the things that I can't do, that I don't have control over in my farm here, is that growing brassicas and things like that. And basically what a brassica is like a cabbage family-ish kind of thing. You got cabbages, you get turnips, we get, let's see, what do we got in there? Bok choy, all of these things, broccoli, cauliflower. Basically, a lot of these things are in the same family. They all came from the same species, right? So that when I'm growing my stuff for seed, which I'm doing, I've got probably about a good 2 to 4 pounds maybe of bok choy seeds. I love baby bok choy. But the problem is now I have my Napa Chinese cabbage that's going to flower, and I also have my broccoli that's going to flower. What are these things going to do? They're going to mix. And then we're going to lose the species. It's going to evolve into something that's not even broccoli or Chinese cabbage. So what I'm asking for in this group is that if they would let me educate them if they don't know about these things yet, but for each of them to start growing these specific things in their own, at their own locations, at their own homes. Because you see, in order to grow your seeds, you have to have sometimes miles away so they don't cross-pollinate. So what I'm essentially doing is forming a group. Say that one person would grow Chinese cabbage, and they'd grow lots of it, some to eat, and some that to go just for flour. But they can grow all kinds of different things, but it'd have to be, like tomatoes and cucumbers, things that wouldn't cross-pollinate. So they would be limited, right? So they'd grow a bunch of Chinese cabbage, and that'd be the only brassica, basically, cabbage family that they would grow at their place. Well, that fucking sucks. I don't get to eat all this. Well, no. What we're going to do is we're going to have Billy grow that Chinese cabbage without any other brassicas on his property, and he's going to grow a bunch of them and save just a shit ton of fucking seeds for us all, for this whole group. But while Billy doesn't get to eat, say, broccoli, I'm going to grow broccoli, but I'm not going to grow Chinese cabbage, right? So what we get to do is swap out these foods, stuff that we're not letting go to seed, and we're going to share what other people can't grow. I think if people grew, if they just didn't let stuff go to flower, they would probably be okay, but they'd have to keep chopping stuff. So I just figured that out right there. I just came up with this concept about an hour ago, so that's why I'm just kind of sharing. But do you see the power of this is that each individual, these groups, now we're starting to form a community. I'm actually stacking functions because people will see how easy my stuff. I 100% believe in what I'm doing. I think that you should do anything in your life, any big move, your self-confidence, you need to gain that kind of stuff like I've got and move fucking forward like a rocket ship. But I can see how this is forming a group. It could possibly make me money. If it didn't make me money, it would give me seeds from all over, from each one of these individuals in this group. And it creates camaraderie. It creates happiness. I think all of us human beings in this day and age, especially right now, are separated. I don't think we need to be. But it's our human nature for us to group up, to have friends. It's our human nature to express ourselves in so many shitty fucking ways. Maybe possibly like this podcast right now. No, but the camaraderie and the things that would happen here is that it'd be immense. We'd be saving a lot of money, all of us individuals, by all of us working together in conjunction as a community to grow our own seeds, to produce those. But there's another hidden factor here, is that it's all localized. Again, keep thinking about what I'm talking to you about today and apply this to your life and business. It's like a philosophy. If you can get it, just listen to it and think about it. So, where the hell was I? Senior moment. Is that these seeds are grown in different little environments, but they're kind of the same. North County, San Diego, California is where I live. But what's going to happen is that our climate is way different than even San Diego proper. We're about an hour away, 45 minutes to an hour, up east, I think, of me. It gets into desert and it gets really cold. So we have a special little climate here. What's going to happen is that these seeds are going to keep genetically modified, growing to adapt. They're going to have adaptation. There it is. And they're going to be able to adapt to this environment, to all the pests that we have and diseases and things and other animals. You see everything in life, I believe, even human beings, when we give birth to something or we create something, whether it's the man with his fucking sperm or the woman carrying the egg, there's still information in all of these fluids. Very interesting that water holds memory. It's starting to become very... look into it. Water holds memory. It's starting to become popular with the science because science says so, so now it's so. Science is right all the time. We now know. Oh, no, we now know. But anyways, there's information in liquid, and what our bodies are made out of 2/3 liquid. The whole earth is made out of 2/3 of water, right? So there's transfer of information. Getting back to the plants, trees, animals, as you can see, some human beings have the same traits as their mother or their father. Well, in plants is the same thing. These plants are everything wants to live, right? Everything wants to survive. And it's encoded in these plants and these animals and human beings that there's a time of danger. That's where we get these things in our bodies where, what do they call it? I hate when I mumble my fucking words. We have these instincts, basically, and we don't know why, right? Well, that's the genetic information, in my opinion, coming from your father, your great-grandfather, your great-great-great-grandfather, and slowly it's information to help you grow, to let you know, say in a plant, that, hey, there's going to be a time where it's going to get super hot, and you want to put those roots way down there to get that water, and this is what to survive for, to look out for, right? If you don't believe me, then why is it that there's certain species of stuff that starts to, not for lack of better words, mutate or evolve into something completely different? Then you bring it from another environment, such as tropical to semi-arid place, a subterranean, or what the fuck? I'm starting to sound like Joe fucking Biden here. Anywhere, wherever I live, a Mediterranean climate. Thank you, self. Brain for working. You take something from the tropics and put it here, and sometimes it doesn't do well. It'll just die. Most of the times it won't do well until you keep breeding it. So that's where I look at with the freedom of our thoughts, our philosophies. Our mindset is everything. The things that I just spoke to you about is from, oh my God, I really sound like President fucking Biden mumbling. Albert Einstein. There was a saying, he says, look deep into nature and you'll understand everything a lot better. And this is the kind of philosophies, how gardening could help save the world and solve a lot of our problems. So when we look at businesses and things like that, these changing times, it's just like that. We have to evolve like these seeds, like these plants, and get rid of old ideas and plant new ideas and let them and nurture them, give them some fertilizer and let them grow into something strong and beautiful and resilient. I really like the word resilient better than sustainable, because sustainable just kind of goes to a point and just kind of something that's able to stay there, whereas resiliency is like a rubber band because life is always changing, right? So I kind of ditch, for me, forget about sustainability. I want to create resiliency in my life. So I want to be able to be stretched and go right back to my original form without breaking, right? Or get hit by a fucking hammer, such as the recession and things like that, which hasn't really hurting me too bad here. But I want to be able to be hit with a hammer and the hammer bounces off and I get bruised, but it's like I heal right back up. So we learn these things from these plants. And I think growing your own business, making your own money, being resilient as these things. Look at this model. There's a lot of things that, a lot of war strategies and a lot of money-making strategies that I think, and scientific inventions, biomimicry is one. I think in Japan there was a train, I think I've spoke about this before on the show, and it would go through this tunnel, right? It was one of those fast trains, like ridiculously stupid fast, like 150 miles an hour, or so, probably maybe even faster. And what happened is when it was like a bullet coming out of a barrel, once this train would come out, it would just make a sonic boom because it had to release the pressure of the internal cavity of that it was going through. So what they did on the front of this is they took some sort of bird, I can't remember what it was, and a fish, the dorsal fin of some sort of fish, and then the beak of a bird, the way the design was. And they took this thing and formatted this, engineered this little piece that sits on the nose of the train. And when it went through, it cut the wind in such a way that stopped the sonic boom. And they learned this by watching slow motion videos of these birds flying and through the air, penetrating the water, the way this fish would go. They'd take the shape of the dorsal fin, which they figured out made this thing aerodynamic. And they would put smoke through it and things like that, and they would see how the air would actually move. And then they started to understand and design things. You see, nature actually taught them. They used these models to stop a sonic boom in a fucking train. So as much lessons that we can learn from nature about business, about spirituality, about health, about everything. I think all the answers are in there. And the beauty is that it's just there for you. You just have to be quiet enough. I don't think you need to be smart enough. I think you just need to be quiet enough and observe. To sit there and quiet your mind or just relax in nature. I mean, it's like it's a jacuzzi of the soul. If you go and sit in the middle of nature, you're already going to calm down. A lot of people like to meditate and things like that. To me, if you just sit quietly enough in nature for long enough, things start to, and quiet, like physically quiet, not quiet in your head, but physically quiet. You're going to start to see the animals come out and the birds start moving and listening to the trees. I think water really helps. For me, I'm a water person. That's why I live in Sunnyside, California, Southern California. I enjoy the oceans and the mountains and stuff like that. But if you sit quiet enough, things start to present themselves. And then all of a sudden you start to see things happen. There was a movie called Master and Commander with Russell Crowe. And it was a war movie. And they ended up in the Galapagos Islands and they were stuck. They're hiding from the French, I think it was. And, their enemies were trying to find them. So they parked and they're hiding. And he was just trying to figure out, well, how the fuck do we get through this? How do we win this thing? And on this island, this little boy found a walking stick. It's an insect, for those of you who don't know, fairly large. In South America, where I used to live, we used to have tons of these. They're really cool, but they're completely camouflaged. They're about the diameter of a pencil, and they got these long legs, and they move really slow. But when they grab onto a branch or a tree, it's like you can't even see them. So in this movie, this little kid is playing with this walking stick on the end of a stick, and they're drawing it and everything. And the master commander, the head guy, looks at that and goes, "That's how we're going to win this war." It was a really awesome. It's not awesome that people are killing each other and blowing each other up, but just to show you the fact too. And I'm also not endorsing violence, and we should all go to war, learn from nature how to kill each other. No, I'm saying that there's beauty in here, and we can learn from things. So from one spectrum to the other, there's always something there, and nature's actually there to even get you started, as I said, to calm your mind and rejuvenate you. Well, there is so much to say on this show. So much. Sometimes I think that I'm going to run out of stuff to say. So the very helpful is the comments below. Like, I really want to know what you guys want, but I always my day to day, my brain never shuts off. I just like thinking of things like this to share with you guys. And one of the other things that's on my mind about this show, and I think it's really important as well for anybody who's interested in living an alternative lifestyle design, is what I call it, is I guess people want to see. Right? And a lot of people are going to not follow someone like me because look at me, I'm a fucking loser. I'm driving a 96 pickup truck, which is, decades old. It's paid for, and I'll have this truck for the rest of my life because it's built like a tank. I can keep rebuilding the motor over and over and over again. Anybody who's an older gentleman who knows about the 7.3 liter diesels, when they see these, very few young guys see them, they're like, "Ooh, that's a nice truck, man." But I look at that analogy like my truck is probably my life, which is pretty fucking, it's free as shit, but I have to say it's getting pretty messy. Like, we have a big storm coming in tomorrow, and I've got to go home, and what I have is a giant silver tarp as a patio. It's built over, I don't think you guys can see my greenhouse here, but it's built similar with 1 3/8 pipe, I think it is. It's fence post for the top railing, very thick stuff. So I built a giant tent framework, and then on top I just laid a giant silver and white tarp. And it looks like somebody who's living in Slab City. I've got 5-gallon Home Depot buckets filled with grow medium and stuff, with soils and stuff to grow my microgreens at my house. I'm going to start a whole herb garden, a suspended herb garden hanging off my patio. And a lot of things, as I say on the show, is I'm not really concerned with the aesthetics such as the functionality. But I look like a homeless person, I would say, to most people. Anybody watching too, I got this gray beard. I let my beard grow out because I'm just too lazy to shave. I've been working on so many things. I'm letting myself go, man. And I'm single dad, so I don't really have time for a relationship, and I don't think anybody would want to have a relationship with me. It'd take a special type of woman. And I think it would take some special type of people to see the way I'm living. But what you're not seeing, if you think I'm a loser, which I think I am. I just like talking shit about myself. Most people like to talk about how cool they are. I'm like, I am a nerd, but and proud of it. But yeah, I don't think a lot of people would notice. If you looked at me, you'd say, "Poor guy. Oh my God, I wish somebody could help him." So what they're not seeing is that the money's just piling up in my bank account. And today is Friday, the last Friday, I believe, of January 2021. I was here at my garden yesterday. I was here at my garden on Wednesday, I believe. Wednesday evening. Yeah, I came to check on stuff. I'm here today on Friday because I so choose to. It's not raining. There's a big old storm coming tomorrow, 2 inches of rain in one fucking day. And I decided that I don't really want to compromise my day. I actually made enough money for this month. I do have a quota. I look and I say, well, if I can make this amount of money in a month, then take the rest of the month off and tend to my new business, my gardening and my own food, spend maybe a week or a couple of days, I have the freedom to do so. And I'm getting very, very giddy. I've noticed that, as I told you, a lot of people said I look like death warmed over, that I'm working too much. It's all about work with me and everything. I'm working so that I don't have to work again for the rest of my life. But yeah, where was I? About people following me. Women especially, I don't think, maybe there's one out there that would get it. Hopefully she doesn't get with me because of my bank account. But I think it's perfect because I look like a fucking loser. But my freedom in life that people aren't seeing and experiencing is the hidden object. And in order for us to get through these times, as we just opened up with the reset, to unfuck yourself, is to live way below your wage. I used to listen to a guy by the name of Dave Ramsey, who's like I don't know, he's like an economist, kind of, I don't know. He lost everything, made millions back, and like, he just helps a lot of people to figure out what their money situations are. I've got my own ideas, so a lot of stuff I don't agree with him, but, such as RV living and mobile home living and stuff like that. But that's him, that's me, it's no biggie. There's a lot of stuff I do though. But he says to act your wage, and I like that because act your age is the word. I know we got followers from all over, from different parts of the world, but yeah, act your age, like acting as an adult, act your wage. I say act below your wage. Go out completely as low as possible and get comfortable. And sometimes maybe get uncomfortable, because if you really have a dream, right? If you're really willing to sacrifice something, yourself, your time, maybe even sometimes your freedom. In my situation, I don't think I really sacrifice my freedom because I'm working overtime because I want to, right? I get to take off from my job whenever I want, almost whenever I want, as long as I don't have a project started. I'm not going to sit here and lie. But yeah, I have the total freedom to just basically roll with whatever I want. And there's not a lot of people that are able to do this. And that's where the giddiness is coming from, is that I get so busy working my ass off sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, this is taking forever. Life sucks sometimes. I get tired and I lose focus. And then I go, wait a minute. You could just take a fucking week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. Right now, you could take this off. You've got the funds to do that. Will I do that? No. It's the busy season with all the rain. I'm in roofing construction. I make lots of money fixing roofs. I hope you guys learned from my last podcast too, because you can take that philosophy that I shared with you guys with the iPad and all the kind of strategies I have and apply that to a lot of different businesses. But yeah, I've got the freedom, and I'm very, very giddy. And life just keeps getting better and better on lots of ends. Some stuff, not so much, but I have the power to decide to change those things. And where I look at a lot of people are pointing the finger at me, a lot of them are doing shit they don't fucking like. A lot of them are living in places that they don't fucking like. And I think the problem with a lot of these people, besides these people in society, is that if you watch these people, they're kind of just going around in a circle. They're a rat, they're a mouse on the wheel. They're on the big wheel that's turning, that the government and that these smart people, science and everything likes to teach. They're just following the system, and if you look at it, a lot of people are suffering. And I think there's a lot of stuff we need to address. One of the saddest things that I notice in life around me is old timers. And I've got a podcast coming up, Is the American Dream Dead? And I'd say yes. But the most saddest thing that I've seen is these old timers who've given their healthiest portion of their young life to save and save and save and save. And then we get things towards the end of their life where they're all broken up and stressed out from doing shit that they didn't like, in a relationship because it's financially not feasible to fucking divorce. You can't stand the fucking person. And there's a lot of these people out there, man. And they didn't save enough for retirement. I ask a lot of them, how do I know this? I ask them, what advice would you give a younger guy like me coming up to retire? Save as much money as possible, man. That's what the majority of them say. And I look and I'm like, as life goes on, man, you're all broken up. Now you got money. And you're just sitting there. In most of these cases, they don't have enough money. They tried to save as much, but due to inflation and our changing times and stuff, they're not making it. And that's a scary thing. You mean I got to go back to work? I got to figure something out. I can't just sit here on my fucking golf cart. Yeah, it's pretty horrific, man. Pretty horrific out there. But it doesn't have to be that way. I think even if you're in that situation, you feel that you didn't save enough. If you've lived a life, which most of us have, learning things, and it doesn't have to be a psychotic fucking gorilla like me who's learning all kinds of shit, the message I'm trying to convey here is I know that you're fucking good at something, and I know you're not fucking dumb, right? You have skills. You have lots of skills. And what better time in history where you're able to use things such as I am. I'm talking to my iPhone right now, and I'm going to broadcast this message to you guys through the internet. Or even as I spoke to you about me organizing a local seed growing group here. There's all kinds of things that you can do. You can bake bread out of your own home. You can get one of those bread makers, you know what I mean? Make some sourdough. Keep experimenting with it. until you get it right. So you get the special sourdough that nobody else has. And it smells so good that everybody in your village or your city comes to you for sourdough bread. You're old as fuck, but you're the fucking master baker, man. You know? Besides the masturbator. Jokes, folks, jokes. So yeah, there's unfuck yourself, man. Start utilizing your talents. And that's what I look at for myself as the older I get, the more efficient I become, the more knowledgeable I am because I keep applying new things in my life. I keep susceptible. What's the word I'm trying to think of here? I don't want to get all Joe Biden on you guys again, but I'm exposing myself. Thank you, to all kinds of different things. And the more stuff I expose myself to, and I expose my children to, and educate myself, by the time I grow into be an old man, I don't know if I want to retire. I think I want to keep working by teaching people how to grow their own food, how to do woodwork, how to repair motors like this big old truck, how to build things, maybe how to build businesses, maybe just to fucking inspire people to fucking get off this stupid bullshit system that we're living in. Stop fucking dwelling and living in fear and start developing yourself. Start focusing on the things that you can do. Start focusing and exercising the freedoms that you do have. Stop sitting there gassing yourself up with the other fucking negative nannies, the groups going, everything sucks. There's always something, right? 1 step forward, 10 steps back, losing the game. What else? That's the worst one I hear. I know, ooh, I'm getting ranty now. I'll piss. See what happens? See, my face is getting fleshed. Worst one I hear is like, what's new? What's going on? This work, man. What else is there? I'm like, fucking there's a shit ton out there, bro. You know? So a lot of people, I think, they're not fucking stupid. They're not dumb. They're fucking lazy is what it is. Lazy mentally. And a lot of us are following this. Some people are successful, though, I'd have to say. Some people are successful. I think they're hard-ass motherfuckers, though. You know, because I've seen people who are healthy and wealthy, but very rare that with the two. But for the most of us, we're following a wheel, and we willingly accept our cages, our oubliette. It's a walls of air. We're surrounded by walls of air. We're that trained gorilla in this movie Instinct with Anthony Hopkins, where he was born or he was captured as a young gorilla, put in a cage, and lived his entire life into a cage that has become his home. It's become his thing. And when they opened the gate up to you know, I forgot what they were doing in the movie with it. They opened the gate up. They were just standing there, and one of the characters in the movie said, "Oh, look, we just close the gate so he doesn't get out." He goes, "Don't worry, he ain't gonna get out. He's afraid to get out of that cage." And that's what we've been socially conditioned to think of, to live these lives that a lot of us are living, and we're basically adhere to fuckism. And there's me coming to the door, knocking on your door, saying, "Let's get to unfuckism. Let's unfuck ourselves out of this shithole system." And I think it deserves getting pissed off sometimes. I think a lot of us are pissed off. But, you know, don't let that eat you too. Go there, just don't live there. Don't dwell in it. Well, we need to start getting into strategies and things to change our lives. And that's like my mission, man. Resilient Rebels. I'm actually thinking of changing the podcast name, but I kind of don't like it. It just sounds like a bunch of rebels, like, you know, who's these Resilient Rebels over here? But I kind of like it because it's kind of cool. Kind of sounds like a biker gang. Like I could imagine if this podcast ever went somewhere, it would be like Resilient Rebels t-shirts, you know, where it's like, we recycle instead of throwing our trash away. You know, we help the planet. We're rebelling against basically the whole system is the way my mentality comes. But I'm so fucked in the head with so many thoughts, I really can't see things clearly sometimes. So I think the name, if you just saw it, you'd go, I don't know what the fuck that's about. And I think that's my problem. What I'm worried about is up and in it. A lot of people would look at that and go, I have no idea what the fuck this podcast is about. So it's a give or take, I think. But in all, who gives a shit about the name? It's about what the product is. And the product is just that, for us to find every single thing that we can do. I always envision this podcast like a magazine. Like if you were thumbing through, say, Mother Earth magazine or something like that, or like, I don't know, like a cooking magazine or a garden magazine. You'd see everything related to that, but there'd be other stuff like how to cook from your garden, how to breed seeds from your garden, how to start a seeding exchange group. Not just about how to grow, what to grow, when to grow, all that kind of stuff, but it kind of evolves around a bunch of different things. So I'm hoping that this podcast, this show, is going to be just that. Like, I mean, we'd be talking about solar, producing your own energy, rebel, resilient rebels, grow your own food, resilient rebels. You know, a lot of these things are unfucking yourself. some strategies of stuff I see where people are living resilient or they're so-called sustainable, it kind of seems like they're fucking themselves. Like, you know, sometimes like for instance, with sustainability on the fact of solar, sometimes if you do the math correctly, you buy everything yourself with a whole battery bank. How long does the batteries last? Depending on which batteries you buy. Sometimes 5 years and you got to replace them. Very expensive. The panels start to lose their output power. You know, as everything, they start to wear out. Within the first year, I think it was something like they lose like 10% of their energy producing capabilities. By 10 years, they're producing like 50%, I think is what it was. And then those things are going to need to be replaced. And also, a lot of people aren't aware, it's very toxic to make solar panels. And if it's very toxic to get the stuff to make solar panels, then where do we dispose of the solar panels? So you see, some stuff we're kind of fucking, am I saying that don't go solar? No, I'm not saying that one bit. I'm just saying that we need to follow everything down to the wire. And to kind of spur off, because I guess this is just a rant fucking podcast, Unfuck Yourself Friday is one of the things that I think would be essential to this podcast and what I would love to do and I'm doing in my life anyways, I just don't have the time. I would be very pleasured, very happy to be paid to follow these things through and then present them to you. Where do we get the lotions that we put on our skin, you know, especially for women? You know, you apply this lotion, doesn't solve the fucking problem, does it? There's something internal maybe going on. But I see all these medicines and like lotions and things like that. We got these anti-cavity fucking toothpaste, but I still get cavities. Well, why is that? You know, what chemicals are in this fucking toothpaste that makes your teeth all fucking super white? Holy shit, flip it upside down and look at the back and fine print. It says if more than a teaspoon is swallowed, seek medical treatment immediately. You know, get yourself to a doctor. This is induce vomiting and all kinds of, you're poisoned. And yet you're sticking minuscule amounts of this in your mouth every fucking day, maybe sometimes 3 times a day. We should talk about that. I would love for this show, if it ever was able to be monetized, to make that my fucking job to find this information for you guys and be able to share this stuff. Get all the information all organized as far as like who said this, where was it done, how many people was a study, and what's that, as I said, not dwelling in what's the fucking problem. I think a lot of you guys can agree, a lot of podcasts and shows I listen to, they fucking suck because they're just sitting there hammering the problem. It's like, well, what about the fucking solution? You know? So I would love to have problems and solutions, and just that would be my job, to find them for anything that you guys would be interested in. And I think this show could go on for at least a decade doing stuff like that. And in conjunction with finding stuff like that for you guys, practicing a lot of things that I invent, such as my lifestyle and, you know, biodiesel, how I've used stuff in my life to produce my own energy, how I'm gaining freedom, basically, and just keep searching and maybe talking to other people would be really cool instead of always a solo show about what they're doing and maybe different parts of the world so we can get different perspectives and different ideas. So I think that would be really, really awesome. I've got to watch my time. It's kind of cool to be able to do this show with you guys. I got to wet this whistle a little bit here with some water. For those of you who are watching this on the video on YouTube, I don't know if I'm causing problems by drinking some wine. I have an entire bottle. I'm not drinking the entire giant bottle of wine. I just pick it up and sip it every once in a while. In South America, the gauchos, the cowboys, they'd usually grab like a big handle of wine. It has like a little thumb thing, right? Little holster, and they rest it on their arm and they just take a little sip. And we pass the bottle around. Doesn't mean everyone's getting hammered, but sometimes at those shows, if you're watching, that's my Monday nights, and that's when I have off. I'm a single dad, as I say all the fucking time, probably ad nauseum for you guys. But I get that one night off, and sometimes I don't get it off. I have to take care of my special needs daughter, my kids, and I try to sneak off. I did come up with a solution, though, for you guys and for me, to have my oldest daughter watch my special needs daughter just for like an hour while I can go to my truck, blank out the windows and everything, put on a flashlight, and be able to record a podcast in the night. See, I can't do this when my daughter's running around because it distracts me. If I get up super early in the morning, which I do, I don't get up any later than like 5 a.m. most of the time. I'm in here podcasting in the cold, and then next thing I know, my daughter's out walking around with a dirty diaper, piss running down her leg, and I'm like, oh shit, and I got to stop this show. So it fucks everything up. And that's why I do the shows when I'm on the road, when I got a long drive. So, man, I'm over here on my farm right now, and the sun's coming up. I am really excited to start planting some things. I'll just kind of rant about that, I guess, is that I'm growing some weeds. I'm growing some things that's called miner's lettuce. And it grows wild here in Southern California. And from what I hear, it grows wild all over the United States, maybe other parts of the world, I don't know. But the Native American Indians used to eat it. They called it miner's lettuce because a lot of the miners who migrated and were, here in California to get the gold and stuff like that, they kind of ran out of food. They'd eat rabbits and stuff like that. Well, they learned from the Indians to eat this miner's lettuce, and it's very nutrient rich, and it's actually very good tasting, supposedly. A lot of weeds for foraging, survivals, a lot of stuff that I've been interested in. I've eaten stinging nettle. Stinging nettle is actually pretty good. I've even eaten it raw. You just take the needles and rub them the opposite direction and put it in your mouth. Anti-cancer fighting capabilities, supposedly. But yeah, I'm growing such things as the miner's lettuce. And what I'm hoping to do is cultivate food for survival that just grows rampant. So there's no way it's going to die. It's disease resistant. It throws tons of seeds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take them, actually grow a bunch of seeds, and I'm going to start broadcasting them in the forest around where I'm at and see if they just start cultivating themselves, because supposedly that's what they'll do. So it could be every spring I will be just slathered with miner's lettuce. And I think it would be cool to share these things in case shit hits the fan. I think cultivating these type of seeds would be a very, very good thing to practice unfuckism. The other species I'm doing is corn salad, mach, I think it is. Mache, M-A-C-H-E. So I'm just going to say mach because I'm illiterate. Guys, I never graduated, never went to school past 7th grade. So I'm pretty horrible at math. I'm pretty horrible at grammar, as you can't tell. But anyways, yeah, growing some corn salad. This is also something that grows pretty wild. They took it to England, or came from England, I think. And I'm cultivating that there, and there's a lot of other things. I'm running out of money, though, to go buy more seeds. I've got the research, and I'm looking at all kinds of different species, but one thing that would be so cool and resilient about what I'm doing is to say that I fucking died, and my garden just went to shit. These seeds are going to pop up, and if someone came here like years later would say, what is this place? There's like this fertile soil here, and there's all these plants growing that don't look indigenous, that don't look like anything else around here. And they start tasting them and testing them, and it would just turn this place into a beautiful Garden of Eden, basically. But yeah, in order to do my part, as I say, that's helping with nature. I think the squirrels and rabbits and skunks and possums and mice and stuff will probably munch on that stuff, and it's good for me to munch on. I can trade the seeds. If people get hungry, that's another thing that I wanted to share with you guys about starting the seed thing, is that I'm going to do 2 messages in it. The very first one is about me, right? I want seeds. I can't afford to get these seeds, as I'm telling you. So I want other people to start investing, and in trading, I will give them stuff they can't grow and start creating community. And maybe people will look just like this show and say, I'm getting great value. I never even knew that mach and miner's lettuce existed. Can I get some seeds? And I'd say, yeah, I'll give you a couple if you become a member or whatever. People start supporting me to actually go even further. Would be super, super awesome. Oh, there's so much. I'm so excited. I love doing these shows. It's not taking much momentum. It fucking sucks. I tried to Google up and in it, and unless you type the words all in one row, not space, with no spacing, my show will pop up. But if you space it, it doesn't pop up anywhere, not even on the 4th, 5th page of Google. So something went awry there. Maybe they're throttling me too because of the information I speak of. I'm definitely sure I'm going to get in trouble and piss off a lot of people because we're going totally against the grain, against the system. Pretty much everything I see going on almost around the world, almost everything needs to be reinvented, redone. We're just living a life of bullshit and fucking lies. And and I'm sitting here on the sidelines somewhat laughing. And I look to build more and more stuff for my life. But I want to build, I think we might be building a website too here. So that way I can find out how well the show's doing. I know we've got listeners. I think this month was the most downloads we've ever gotten. Maybe it's because I threatened everybody that I'm going to quit. It is a lot of work. And I did throw out, I think, 5 shows this week. It's because I had the time. I made the time. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to keep that stuff up, though, because by the time I start doing my gardening business, getting that off the ground, and TikTok and Instagram, and I got to start promoting this garden business online. That's what I think is really going to make me money. I don't think that, going back to what I was saying before, is that my podcast, this show here, is going to adhere, because a lot of people can't see through the veil. They think that I'm poor. They think I'm a loser. And meanwhile, while I'm fishing and most people are at work, or I can just basically leave anytime I want, is not apparent. And I think because people can't see it. I think most people are going to want to follow the billionaires, the people in private jets and, acting rich and showing you all the best parts of their lives, but never showing you the bad, And I think that's more sexy. That's more attractive. And who wants to listen to a guy who's telling you got to do some work? You got to sacrifice some things. But when doing that and living that way and sacrificing those things, you gain in others. And if you do that long enough, you can be that guy with the fucking Ferrari and the 2 chicks and the, whatever, if that's what if you want. But you got to start somewhere. And you got to have the time to be able to hone yourself, to hone your skills. So that's the show, guys. I got to get back and make sure I didn't catch some mice in my trap that I was speaking of. I've got a game camera down there that's recording everything. Hopefully I can find out how they're getting into climbing up into my garden. And I've got a lot of stuff to do today. I'm so excited to plant the plants that I was telling you. And also I hope that I planted the seed inside you guys to actually think and start growing and to know that you're not fucked. You're not fucked. You've just been brainwashed. You've been raised. You're listening to people around you. You're getting a group mentality of we're all fucked, man. And look at all this horrible shit coming. Yes, there's probably some horrible stuff coming, but we're not going to get anywhere by fucking having that mentality and thinking that way and gassing each other up. We got to get like things that I'm doing. Let's start gassing each other up on what we're able to do. Exercise our freedoms. Execute something instead of sitting there crying like a fucking baby. And I'm not putting anybody down. I'm just saying, if you don't like where you're at, change it. I don't like almost everything going on around me. I don't trust what they're doing to my food. I don't trust what they're doing with the air, the water, everything. I want everything different. And I will go to my dying day fighting for my freedom, inventing my freedom, and thinking my way out into finding the loopholes and thinking and creating my way and inventing it out of this whole system that we have, the rat race, and into something that's completely beautiful and awesome. And we're already well on our way. And I want that for you guys. So I hope that seed was planted in you today. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. And I hope that despite all this bullshit going on, your life gets better and better every day, every week, every month, every year, every decade. And I hope and realize you're here because you want to be, not because you have to be. You're doing things because you want them. I'm sorry. You're doing things, because you want to, as bad as you think that they are. There's nobody forcing you, really. There's a lot of stuff that you can do if you seek, like a pig, and like a goat. You keep going around the confines of where you're at, seeking out your exit. Sooner or later, you're going to find the weak point and you're going to burst out. So you guys, I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, love and respect every single one of you. I hope I didn't offend anybody here. And I want you guys to live that good life, man. Things don't have to be this way. So that's the show. Comment, please, upanditshow@gmail.com. Let me know how we're doing. And if you like this sort of thing, you could check out on TikTok, Instagram. Instagram, I just started doing some videos. It's called the Up and In It Story. And what I figured is I would do a short little video. It only takes me 60 seconds to just kind of show you what I've been doing for the day. So you have proof and kind of gives you insight, as I said, that you guys can kind of see what this alternative lifestyle design life looks like. And that you actually see that I'm actually doing, like, look, I'm not working today. I'm going to take a video in the morning, maybe one at noon, in the evening. Just something quick, kind of show you guys what I'm doing and talk about some things. So you can check that out on the Instagram. There's the Facebook group, which I haven't really done much, but there's some stuff that I post on there. There's the YouTube channel and also anywhere you can find the podcast. So guys, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. Human up. Live it, love it, own it, and bone it.